Let us begin with the situation. Four people have just come out of a movie hall. Perhaps it was a stereotypical action thriller where some agent comes out of retirement because his wife has been kidnapped by an old enemy. Of the four people, one is W, one is X, one is Y, and one is A. They begin discussing the movie. W thinks that the protagonist was noble, a man of chivalry and probity. X, somebody who is often sarcastic, believes that the protagonist was rather pathetic and uxorious, and despite his sarcasm, is reasonably firm as to this opinion. They disagree for obvious reasons, considering that their beliefs are the very opposite of each other. The disagreement starts to grow to be more aggressive when person Y arbitrates, saying that all types of beliefs, in this case, the one of the protagonist of this movie, are true, for truth is relative. What is true to you is true to you, and what is true to another is true to them. W and X then calm down, retreating to a ponderous quietude, but A has not participated in the discussion. Instead, this person has chosen to search for the truth beyond these small disagreements that are but superficial. He seeks the objective and universal. Now, who is correct? Is it Y or A? Well, that is not exactly the aim of this video. Rather, it is to try and understand the two types of truth mentioned here, and so to continue, let us see the philosophers and their philosophies that Y and A embody. First, Democritus. He was a pre-Socratic Greek philosopher who was born circa 460 BCE and died 370 BCE. He played a key role in the formulation of atomism, a philosophy that says that all forms and phenomena are aggregates of a fixed unit. Such a philosophy would obviously mean that Democritus believed in objectivity and clarity, and that would be the case when it came to his beliefs on truth. Unlike the way the Epicureans and Stoics believed knowledge to be based in sense perception, Democritus believes otherwise, taking atoms and void to be the only plausible and universally correct truth. For that is what he sought, objective and universal truth. The reason for his distrust in sense perception is that, well, people perceive things differently. A person inured to the cold will think differently of the weather compared to someone accustomed to heat. A sick person and a healthy person will feel differently about the taste of food. There is no dearth of possible situations with contradictory opinions and perceptions, and in the search for objectivity and something universal, a matter and concept that is so multifaceted is not a solution. On the other hand, Protagoras, the famous sophist, had a very different philosophy. His philosophy was of relative truth, and as the name suggests, this form of thinking entails treating all beliefs to be a truth of some form. A belief that is true for, say, person X may not be true for person Y, but one still understands and approaches the matter by saying that though I disagree, I see that and appreciate that this is person X's truth. Essentially, all beliefs are true. A number of objections were made to Protagoras' philosophy, some by Plato in Theaetetus, some by Aristotle in his book The Metaphysics. However, one that is very interesting was made by Democritus himself, by saying that the ideology that all beliefs are true is self-refuting. For if that is the case, the belief that all beliefs are false is true, hence the original thought of man is the measure of all things is false. Now, what are the implications of choosing a certain ideology over the other? And keep in mind that these implications are speculative. So, if one chooses to be a practitioner of relative truth, it would be a step towards obtaining peace in a way. For no one would try to challenge another's beliefs, which may represent a person, or a community, or an entire nation. Nobody would question any ideology, and people's intellect and curiosity would essentially lay dormant in their own world, chained by ignorance. But those chains would allow for a strange happiness, but it would be superficial, as it is not the joy of enlightenment or knowledge. Essentially, one exchanges the tenacity to inquire in exchange for harmony. Perhaps that is something some people would enjoy. and certainly a break from the stresses of life would perhaps grant some happiness. However, not that this is a definition, but if anything, philosophy is to inquire. It is to question the very foundations of life, of existence, and everything that surrounds us. And thus, choosing such an ideology would mean being imprisoned philosophically. As for Democritus, his answer of atoms and void can be interpreted to mean many things based on if one approaches it literally or figuratively. Taking it literally and simply citing atoms and void in a complex subject will not really help. So, edge a bit into the figurative, and there seems to be a good answer. Atoms and void represents looking for the intrinsic value of things, trying to discover what it truly is beneath the illusions that sense perception may give. These illusions may be the superficiality that many have. Thus, one should seek to look beyond those layers and facades and directly into the soul. And maybe with that, one can understand people better, understand oneself better. But in the search for objective truth, there cannot be any biases or variables that result in subjectivity. One must be completely neutral, thus, one requires sensitivity in order to embark on such a journey. So that one may, as if some strange spectre, peer into another's persona, into the depths of their soul, and traverse whatever landscape lies, a forest, a vast desert, or an endless ocean, to see what it is that drives that person forward, what makes them who they are, and understand that, not judge it. Though it may seem Democritus has a superior ideology, that is not entirely fair to say, for there are merits to Protagoras' relative truth, and that would be the sensitivity. Though it is a sort of forced sensitivity, if manipulated and combined with the characteristics of objective truth, it results in assessing and taking into account all the opinions and beliefs surrounding a certain matter, and based on those finding the objective truth to it. Now, this is not being done so that everybody may be pleased. If the case is such, then it should disturb and shock everybody. It is only so that it applies to all. To conclude, both philosophies presented by Democritus and Protagoras have flaws, but also merits which can sort of learn from each other. One can try to pick pieces of each philosophy and combine them, as was done earlier, but regardless, if one wishes to pick between these two truths, the world may suddenly become a much better place or a far worse place.